Hey y'all, I'm Damon Oates, founder of Deco Exchange. Who else has heard that crafting is just a hobby? I turned my love of crafting into a thriving multi-seven-figure company, surrounded myself in an amazing community, and met some amazing business owners along the way. I'm here to show everyone that makers mean business.
What is up, you guys? It is Parker here with the Makers Mean Business podcast. Y'all, today's episode is going to be a little not normal for us. Y'all, we're not interviewing anyone. We're not teaching you guys anything. What I'm going to do is I'm going to round up the last, 31 episodes. For those of you guys who are maybe new to the podcast, maybe you haven't listened to all of them, maybe you missed a few. I just wanted to run through the last 31 episodes because there's a ton of content there. There's a ton of interesting stories there. There's a ton of interesting people there. Y'all, there's a lot. So I just wanted to hop on and I wanted to dedicate this episode to the last 31, I want to say days, but it's the last 31 episodes of us creating content with the Makers Mean Business podcast. So you guys, you can check any of these episodes out at makersmeanbusiness.com. But I'm going to start with number one, y'all. The first episode, the pilot episode we had was 6 ways to battle imposter syndrome. So Damon kicked off the podcast with the first episode. And y'all, imposter syndrome is basically just the lies you tell yourself. Like you're not good enough, or you don't think that you're good enough, or you don't deserve the things that you have, or y'all, it's a stumbling block, a stepping stone. It's a thing that everyone deals with. So that's why we wanted to use that as the first episode, because we knew it would resonate with so many people. So that's episode 1. Damon hosted that one. The second thing that we did, Damon did this one too. Y'all, if you remember, we actually released these 3 episodes, the first 3 all at once. But the second episode technically was tips on getting started building a business online. So as you guys know, we have business coaching. You can check it out at damonsbusinesscoaching.com. But we talked all about tips and tricks on getting started online. And y'all, this actually was recorded before COVID hit. So if you guys are new to the podcast, maybe you're looking to get started with a business online, maybe you're looking to take your brick and mortar online, check out episode 2, because we talk all about how to get started selling online, you guys. The third episode was my first episode. I got to interview our friend Sarah. She runs a very successful subscription box. It's called the Monogram Box. She personally monograms, I think, thousands of boxes, if I remember correctly. But she also teaches people how to run successful subscription boxes. So we got to sit down and have a nice little chat. She gave me some tips. And y'all, funny story, we've been growing our subscription box. I think we grew it from around 600 people to around 1,500 people now. So it's been immensely helpful. Sarah knows what she's talking about, and the stuff that she gives away in this podcast can actually help you get started and grow a subscription box. Y'all, this next one, episode 4, we talked with Kari from Hot Mesh Mom. This is where we started interviewing people. We kind of call it Meet a Maker. We wanted to just tell the stories of other people, right? Because we can tell you how great being a maker is and how successful people can be and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, we wanted to prove that we're not the only ones that are doing it, and other people are living their dreams and, quitting their 9-to-5s and supporting their families and being creative all at the same time. So the first interview we had was Kari with Hot Mesh Mom, and that was episode 4. Episode 5 is another interview. We interviewed Clara-Nicole with She's Crafty Too. Y'all, I'm not going to give all the details of all the interviews, just because there's so much there. There's so much story. There's so much lessons, and I don't want to give a quick summary and not do justice to the person that we interviewed, because there's so much beyond just what I could probably say about what they talked about and what they've been through. So I really just want you guys to check out those interviews. Episode 6, I actually interviewed our ads manager, Gretchen. And we talked a little bit about Facebook ads and how it helps grow businesses and when to use them and how much to spend on them and all of that kind of stuff. Episode 7, we talked to Lauren of Beautiful Mesh. Y'all, Lauren is one of the coaches in our community, not our coach, but she is a coach in the community. And one of her main focuses is selling on Etsy. And selling on Etsy is always a hot topic. It's something we teach. It's something Lauren teaches. It's something that we both still do. And it's something that we're successful with. And we know that you guys can be successful with it too. So check out episode 7. That's selling on Etsy. Episode 8 is kind of one of the pillars of one of Damon's business coaching lessons or our business coaching group. And we call it the WIMPPs, WIMPPs. And it stands for Who is My Perfect Person? So if you guys know anything about social media, even if you don't, finding and identifying the perfect person for your business is paramount. It lets the algorithms know who you're looking for. It also provides clarity for you when you're solving pain points. If you have an idea of your customer avatar or your perfect person or whatever you want to call it, you know exactly how to help that person. You know exactly how to talk to them, and you know exactly the struggles that they have. So check out episode 8. That's the WIMPPs, the Who is My Perfect Person. Y'all, episode 9, we interviewed Andrea with Ranch House Wreaths. Y'all, she sells supplies. She makes wreaths. She's, like I said, I didn't want to get into all the stories, but y'all, this is probably one of the direct competitors to us, if I had to say. For those of you guys that don't know, we sell craft supplies on decoexchange.com. But Andrea has her own e-commerce store. She sells her own wreath supplies. And to some people, it might seem weird that we would, honestly, we're promoting another person. We're telling someone or giving someone information about someone who they could get the same service from someone else. But another one of our pillars in our business is community over competition. It's something that we learned quite a while back from another one of our business coaches, Jennifer Allwood. But together, the community is stronger. If we build each other up, we all win. And that's something it's hard for some people to accept. It's hard for some people to understand. And honestly, it's a little counterintuitive. You think that giving something away to someone else actually hurts you, but in reality, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Or what's good for the gander is good for the goose. I don't even know what the saying is, but the way Jennifer Allwood explained it to us, or one of the things that I don't know if she's famous for, but one of the things she said is a rising tide lifts all ships. So if we support other wreath makers and other wreath supply sellers, or even if you're not in the wreath making world and maybe you're some other kind of maker, if you support the community that you're in, that community is going to grow and everyone's going to benefit from that. So just keep that in mind. Check out her interview. She's got a great story, you guys. We didn't specifically talk about community over competition, but I just wanted to bring it up because it's a recurring theme on a lot of our podcast interviews. Y'all, episode 10, we're a third of the way there, you guys. I got a long list. Building a community on Instagram. So I interviewed our friend Warren Carlisle. He's probably most well known for the largest octopus fan club. He runs a successful Instagram page. He runs a nonprofit. He's just a great person, a great friend. Also, a relatively new professional photographer. Shout out to Warren for doing a lot of our brand photos. But y'all, Warren knows communities. He knows Instagram, and he knows how to engage and get your community to engage. Especially on Instagram, you guys. He knows a ton of other stuff, so I don't want to discredit him there. But if you guys are on Instagram, maybe you're looking to grow your Instagram, check out episode 10. Y'all, episode 11 is another interview. Damon interviewed Rhonda Nickerson of Rhonda's Creative Corner. So Rhonda, y'all, I actually heard an interesting story about Rhonda from Damon. Rhonda is one of the first people, along with some other people. I don't want to say she was the first, but she was one of the first people that Damon actually connected with in his journey as a wreath maker, his journey as a community leader. So it was great to have Rhonda on there. She's been around for a long time. She knows us. We know her. She also sells supplies, so she's technically a competitor too, but they had a great interview as well. Episode 12, I kind of shifted gears and I didn't interview anyone, but I talked all about how we've scaled our business with virtual assistants. We do have in-person staff, but we also have y'all, we honestly have like a fleet of virtual people. We have actually monthly calls, and it looks like the Brady Bunch, y'all, with all the different people. But I think we have around 30 people now that are virtual, working on different facets of our business. So I talk specifically in episode 12 all about how we've grown that, the kind of method to the madness on how we decide when to hire someone and how to find someone to fill that job and all those kinds of things. So check out episode 12 for that. Y'all, episode 13, I interviewed Christine Jerry from the Virtual Hub. Y'all, Christine is actually a business coach in our coaching group, but we talked all about some of her journey as a business owner, her journey as a blogger, honestly, because she has an agency where she runs blogs. She actually runs our blog, but she's got a bunch of great information, which leads me into episode 14, where I kind of sucked up Christine's time for the whole day. And we talked about SEO. If you guys don't know what SEO is, it's going to come up a lot in online businesses in general, but also on the podcast because it's something that's crucial to being successful. SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's basically how people find you online. Anytime anyone searches for you in a search bar anywhere, SEO decides if you show up in the results or not. That's the easiest way for me to explain it. And y'all, Christine is a blog expert. She knows how to get you found on Google. She knows how to get your blogs out there organically. And that's all we talked about on episode 14, which is SEO. Episode 15, Damon actually interviewed Melly Mel, which is a creative coach. She's also a dear, dear friend. We surprised her earlier this week, actually. We are in the process of forming a nonprofit. I think we're going to be end up actually calling it the Deco Exchange Foundation, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, long story short, we needed a third person to be on the board or to be. It's not owners, but it's like, it's some legal crazy stuff. But basically, Damon and I are on it, and then we had to have one third person. So we chose Melly Mel. Melly Mel is a dear, dear friend of ours, as well as a creative coach. We were there when she adopted one of her kids. She's just a great person all around. She has an extremely powerful story, and she's just got an interesting personality. She's very excitable. She is full of passion and love, and she's just a great person. Not saying any of the other guests weren't great people or anything like that, you guys, but Melly Mel is such a great friend of ours, and she's really just got a really powerful story that she shared in her interview on episode 15. Episode 16, I talked all about creating video content. So one of the big things that I did this year, or one of my main focuses, was streamlining basically our whole social media. And one of the things that I and Damon and Christine, y'all, when I say I really don't mean I. Our whole team does a lot, y'all. So I don't want to say like it's just me, but we kind of developed and refined a process for recycling content. And it all starts with having one really good piece of content. So that's what I talked about in episode 16. I talk about lights and camera and how to go live and all those things. So check out episode 16. Episode 17 is another interview with Tamra from Southern Adornments Decor. Tamra is one of the first people outside of the wreath making community that I connected with. Not to say that we're friends and chat all the time, but I saw her drive, and she was an implementer, and she still is an implementer, and she's just a get shit done kind of person. And I honestly love that about her. And I was super excited to hear the interview that Damon had with her. So definitely check her out in episode 17. Episode 18 was actually a sponsored podcast. It was actually the first time we actually made money on the podcast, which was cool. But our friends Tammy, Jackie, and Mel teamed up to bring the wreath making industry something called Quick Win Weekend, which was it's already passed, and I think they'll be doing it again in the future. But just so you guys know, they teamed up to kind of get some information out into the community about not only creating but also running a business in the form of quick wins, which are more like bite-size things you can do that you see results instantly, and it doesn't seem as daunting. So if you guys are interested in learning something, check out Quick Win Weekend for sure. Episode 19 is an interview with Amy Rudy Smith. Amy is like a boss on Instagram, honestly. She sells wreaths primarily. She does have a coaching group. She does a lot of things. But y'all, she's got a personality of her own. She's very much a trailblazer. She's a pioneer. She does a lot of things differently than us. And it's so fun to see her winning and not following the trend and making it work. And I think she's a good example of, if you work the system, or if you bang your head against the wall long enough, you'll break through and you'll succeed and you'll win. Y'all, I talk about it all the time that persistence is the key. And I think Amy is persistent, but she's also consistent. She's consistently herself and true to her and her creativity. And y'all, the best way I can describe her is she's funky. She does funky things that are really cute and really cool and really different. And that's her niche, and that's her thing, and she owns it. And I love that about Amy. And if you guys listen to the interview, you'll get exactly what I'm saying. Love Amy. Y'all, episode 20, I didn't interview anyone. I just talked, y'all, because apparently I can just sit and talk and go off about stuff. But what I talked about was SIO, which is something that I kind of coined or came up with, or I guess maybe someone else did. I don't know, but I haven't seen it anywhere else other than me. It stands for simplify, implement, and optimize. So that is the method that I use whenever Damon hands me a whole bunch of stuff that needs to happen. It's basically a summary of how my brain works. I take whatever needs to get done and then I simplify it. Once it's simplified, I implement it. And once I implement it, then I go back and optimize it. A lot of people get overwhelmed really easily, myself included. So this process is something that I think all of you can benefit from, because I need you to know that it doesn't have to be perfect right from the start. Our business was not perfect. It still isn't perfect. And we are still implementing stuff that I know we're going to have to go back and fix later. But I just need it to be up and running. I don't need it to be perfect and perfectly optimized. I just need it to be, I need it to be able to turn it on and collect money, basically. So in episode 20, that's what I talked about, was all of those things in detail. And I gave you guys examples of how I do that. And I think it's just really, really important, you guys. Yeah, the next episode, episode 21, we interviewed Zach with Wreaths of Joy. He's a young guy. He's younger than us. I think he's 21. I actually met him for the first time a couple months ago. Him and his mom, they kind of run the business together. They're both kind of the face of the business. It's really awesome to see a younger person being creative, and especially a guy. Obviously Damon and I are guys, but a young guy, being online and doing something that's traditionally done by women. I just think it's awesome. I think it's a great thing. And I'm sure it's just awesome to see a young entrepreneur, honestly. It doesn't even have to be about wreath making, but it's great to see a young person really killing it in their business, honestly, and being so involved and learning so much and doing so much. So y'all check out episode 21 with Zach of Wreaths of Joy. Episode 22, you guys, I covered this one. I talked about selling online, specifically e-commerce. And I talked about 3 things in this episode: traffic, photos, and SEO. In my opinion, those 3 things are the most important thing, or the most important things to be successful on e-commerce, on an online business: traffic, photos, and SEO. So in episode 22, I talk all about those 3 things and what good and bad is in each of those things. So definitely check that one out. Episode 23, I talk all about YouTube, y'all. I'm going to have to do another episode on YouTube because I just want to talk about some stats and how much we've grown since probably doing this episode. This just speaks again to consistency. So we've been consistently posting on YouTube, and our stats reflect that. And it's fantastic, and I love seeing it because it's just another set of ammunition to prove to people that if you try hard enough, or work hard enough, or be consistent enough, or bang your head against the wall long enough, you will break through. And our YouTube channel is an example of that. And I love that. But y'all, I talked about in episode 23 all about some tips and tricks to be successful on YouTube. So if you're looking to grow your YouTube, maybe start your YouTube, check out episode 23. Y'all, episode 24, Damon got to sit down, and just looking at the list here, he hasn't sat down just by himself in quite some time. So I need to get him to do that more. But he talked all about monetizing and growing your community. He's got 6 main tips to monetize and grow your community. Y'all, Damon, as well with a handful of other people who I know that we've worked with, are just rock stars at being community leaders and just being kind of open and honest and just being that person that the community loves and they love on the community. And it's just a great symbiotic relationship. And I just love seeing it. But if you guys are trying to build a community, check out episode 24. Like it's got so much information in there, and I know it can help you guys out. Y'all, episode 25, Damon got to sit down with Jillian Leslie. Y'all, she has been a little bit a part of our community. She kind of hides in the background a little bit, I'll be honest. But she's a successful blogger. She runs a successful podcast called The Blogger Genius. And she's actually created a couple cool apps called Milo Tree that are all around helping bloggers. It actually helps people get their blog more traffic on Pinterest and their Pinterest more traffic in general. And it's a great little app. We actually use it on our website. But y'all check her out. She tells her story in this interview. It's a really interesting story, and it's a very different take than most of the crafters that we've interviewed so far on the podcast. So definitely check out episode 25. All right, you guys, moving on to episode 26. I talk about recycling your content. So what I mean is I'm talking about taking that one really good video that you made and editing it so it goes all of the places. I talk about putting it on YouTube. I talk about putting it on Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, time-lapse, all kinds of stuff, you guys. Just know that if you're out there creating content and you're not putting it all over the place, you're missing out on free content. So definitely check out episode 26. Episode 27, Damon got to sit down with Brooke Riley of Refabs. Y'all, Brooke is another good friend of ours. She blew up her Facebook page. And a lot of what she talks about is her Facebook page and tips for growing her community or growing a community online. But Brooke is just an awesome person all around, and she's got a really great story. So check out episode 27 for all of that. I know I'm not supposed to play favorites, but episode 28 was probably my favorite podcast that I've done. I also think it was probably one of the most important, the most useful, and the one that the community needed the most. And it's all about trademarks and copyright. I got to sit down and interview Emily Baker, who is our lawyer, or one of our lawyers, I should say. But she talked all about copyright and trademark specifically. Y'all, I think in that episode we used Disney as an example. But how many of you guys have went online and you've seen like Baby Yoda stuff or Disney artwork or whatever it is, and you know it's not licensed by Disney? That is illegal, you guys. And just because you see people doing things doesn't mean that it's legal. And one thing that resonated with me that Emily said is that ignorance is not an excuse. Not knowing that something is illegal is not an excuse, and it won't get you forgiven, and it won't stop Disney from coming after you or any company. Just for an example, we have trademarks on Deco Exchange. We have trademarks on Damon Oates. We have trademarks on Mud Scrub. So you better believe if someone tries to use our name and try to sell some products with our name on it and it's not our product, we're going to stop them. And I don't think Disney or other, massive companies are wrong for doing that. It's their stuff, you guys. You can't just take that. I just think it's really important. I think people don't respect it enough, and legal stuff happens. People lose, legal battles all the time for stuff like this. So I just want to implore you guys to check it out. It's a really good listen. I had a lot of fun with episode 28. Episode 29, I got to sit down and interview Marissa Sayers. She runs a successful MLM business, side hustle, whatever you want to call it. But she talks all about how you can use an MLM to supplement your business. Marissa doesn't just rely on MLMs. She's a good example of diversifying revenue streams. She just uses her MLM as another as another leg of her business, as another thing that makes her money every month. So definitely check out episode 29. Y'all, I'm getting to the end. Episode 30, I got to sit down with Roberto, and we talked about relationships and partnerships and really just networking in general. I can't tell you guys how important networking is when you're running a business or trying to get anything done. How many of you guys have heard that it's not about what you do, it's about who you know? I 1000% believe that that's true. I think to be a successful entrepreneur, you need to know people and get a lot of people and know a lot of things. But knowing a lot of people and having relationships with other people can get you a very, very long way. So check out episode 30. He has some tips. He has some feedbacks, some stories. It's a really interesting listen, you guys. Episode 31, it was the last episode that we released. I got to sit down with Joy from Alphalicious Designs. Y'all, Joy is such an interesting story. Y'all have to check her out. She sells like $3 products and she makes multi six figures online selling digital products. Digital $3 products, y'all. It's insane. I love hearing her story. It's so inspirational. It makes me think I need to sell $3 products online. Digital products, I know I sell ribbon. That's sometimes it's $3, but y'all, check out episode 31. I know that was a long list, you guys. Thank you guys for going through all of that. I hope y'all heard something that maybe you didn't know was in the podcast. I hope that maybe it makes you go back and listen to one of them. If you guys enjoy the podcast, if you guys want to hear more, make sure you subscribe at makersmeanbusiness.com or wherever you get your podcast. Y'all have a good day, and I'll see y'all next time.